What's up, guys? So this is the first video in my Epic History Character Spotlight series. In this video, we're going to go over Cersei Lannister, daughter of Tywin and Joanna Lannister, the Lord and Lady of Casterly Rock in the West. And Cersei's a pretty complex character. She has motivations that are never for the right reasons, but she usually believes they are. In the show, we don't really get a lot of her backstory, and I want to go over her entire history, and because Maggy the Frog is such an important character in Cersei's history, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a bonus character spotlight within this video of Maggy the Frog. So Cersei is technically the oldest child of Tywin and Joanna. She was born mere moments before her twin Jaime, who came out clutching at her heel. Oddly symbolic. When Cersei was 9 years old, her little brother Tyrion was born, killing her mother Joanna in the process. After this, Tywin becomes cold and bitter. He never smiles, he never jokes, and things around the Lannister household got a lot colder. A year later, at the tournament to welcome King Aerys II, later known as the Mad King, to Lannisport, Cersei meets a woman named Maggy the Frog. And before I go any further on Cersei, I want to go ahead and give you the Maggy the Frog character spotlight. Maggy is a fortune teller in Lannisport said to possess magical powers. She was brought there from the Far East as a young woman by her husband, who was there trading spices. Their son went on to found House Spicer, which was raised to lordship and awarded Castamere for betraying the Starks in the War of the Five Kings. Maggy's grandchildren are both alive in the books at the current moment. Rolf Spicer, the current Lord of Castamere, and Sybelle Spicer, who is married to Gawain Westerling, who is the father of Jane Westerling, Robb Stark's wife in the books. Because, Delisa doesn't exist in the books. Sorry, guys. But back to the tournament. A 10-year-old Cersei witnesses a 17-year-old Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, newly appointed to knighthood, defeat two of her uncles and a dozen of Lord Tywin's best knights in the joust, and is instantly infatuated with him. During the tournament, Cersei's aunt, Lady Genna Lannister, confided to her that she was to be engaged to Rhaegar at the feast following the tourney. Cersei's really excited about this and grabs her two friends Jane Farman and Melara Heatherspoon. With them, she goes to visit Maggy the Frog to learn of her future. Jane gets scared almost immediately and flees at the sight of Maggy's unnatural yellow eyes, and Maggy initially refuses to tell the two remaining girls their fortunes. When Cersei threatens her, she allows Cersei 3 questions, which become 3 prophecies that will haunt Cersei and influence her decisions for the rest of her life. First off, Cersei asks when she will wed the prince, to which Maggy replies, "Never, you will wed the king," obviously referring to Robert Baratheon. At this point, there's no way Cersei could have known. If anything, she probably would have just assumed that she would marry Rhaegar when he became king, as opposed to while he was a prince. Next, Cersei asks her if she will be the queen, and Maggy replies that she will be, until a younger, more beautiful queen comes to cast her down and take all that she holds dear. Next, Cersei asks if the king and her will bear children, and Maggy says yes. He will have 16 and you'll have 3. Your children will wear gold crowns and gold shrouds, referring to burial shrouds, meaning Cersei will outlive them all. And then when her tears are fresh in her eyes, the Valonqar, which is High Valyrian for little brother, will wrap his hands around her neck and choke the life from her. After this, Melara asks if she'll marry Jaime. Maggy tells her that she'll never marry, and in fact she'll die that night, hinting that it will be at Cersei's hand. Melara later fell down a well, and we found out that Cersei killed her to keep her from speaking of the prophecies. Cersei is terrified by what Maggy the Frog has told her, flings a jar of potion into her eyes, and runs away to the sound of the fortune teller cursing both her and Melara. Cersei has always believed that Tyrion is the Valonqar Maggy spoke of, but there are several possibilities. Note that she did not say your little brother, simply the word for little brother. Aside from Tyrion, Jaime's also a candidate, seeing as Cersei beat him out of the womb by a few moments. Stannis is also a possibility, as he is Robert's little brother and has plenty of reason to hate Cersei. So after the tournament, King Aerys refuses Tywin's offer to marry Cersei to Rhaegar, seeing Tywin as nothing more than a servant, and therefore beneath being joined to his house. Instead, Rhaegar is married off to Elia Martell of Dorne. Jaime and Cersei always experimented sexually throughout their childhood, and after being caught by a servant, were moved to separate ends of the castle by Joanna to prevent it happening again. When she was 12, she was taken to King's Landing by her father, acting hand of the king at the time. Over the next couple of years, Tywin turned down every marriage offer he received for Cersei, presumably holding out for one of the Targaryen princes. Following Jaime's knighting at the age of 15 during the campaign against the Kingswood Brotherhood, Jaime visited King's Landing pretty much just to see Cersei. During his stay, Cersei seduces him and convinces him to join the Kingsguard, so that he could remain unmarried and close to her at the same time. Cersei handles all of the arrangements in a month, and although Jaime is accepted into the Kingsguard, her plan backfires when Tywin sees Jaime's appointment as a slight by Aerys intended to rob him of his heir. He then resigns his hand and takes Cersei back to Casterly Rock, splitting up the twins again. After the conclusion of Robert's rebellion, which is definitely a topic for another epic history, Cersei is married to Robert Baratheon to cement the alliance between the two great houses. Cersei was originally really excited by this. However, when Robert drunkenly calls her Lyanna during their first night together, she quickly sours on the arrangement. Their marriage goes down the tubes, and her and Jaime resume their incestual relationship. Her and Jaime have 3 children together, Joffrey, Tommen, and Myrcella, who she passes on as Robert's trueborn children. As her hate for Robert grows, she takes measures to ensure that he never gets her pregnant, even aborting a pregnancy by him early in their marriage. Eventually, Stannis Baratheon, having seen Robert's multitude of exclusively black-haired, blue-eyed bastards, becomes suspicious of the Lannister children, investigating the matter with then Hand of the King Jon Arryn, who was poisoned by his wife Lysa Tully at Littlefinger's bidding before they could take action. This causes Stannis to flee King's Landing for Dragonstone, leaving behind the proverbial trail of breadcrumbs that leads Eddard Stark to his death and sparks a war between the 7 kingdoms. So now that you know Cersei's history, you can probably tell why she acts the way she does. Her hatred for Tyrion, her hatred for Marjorie, her incessant fear that enemies are all around her. It all starts to make sense when you go back to the prophecies given to her by Maggy the Frog as a child. Cersei is willful, headstrong, and ambitious. She believes herself to be the true heir of Lord Tywin Lannister, and the most similar to him of his 3 children. She always desires power, but never knows what to do with it when she gets it. She handles some things fairly well early on, and the further things go, the worse she does. She surrounds herself with people who tell her what she wants to hear as opposed to the truth, and just feeds her ego, and has no real friends. She has no real allies. Nobody cares about her except for Jaime, and she does push him away as well. So it's a classic Greek myth type character. I mean, she's essentially Hera, like the wife of Zeus. I mean, her and Robert's relationship are entirely similar. And maybe I'll go over a parallel between Game of Thrones and different mythologies. But yeah, this finishes up the character spotlight for Cersei Lannister and Maggy the Frog. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you want to see for future videos. I'll be making weekly recaps of the episodes as always, but yeah, character spotlights, epic history. Let me know specifics that you want to see and I'll get on it. But yeah, take it easy, guys.